Okay. So can everyone see my screen? Brilliant. So yeah, welcome everyone to this support clinic about community assembly working groups. So tonight we'll be talking about community assembly working group and why we all wish that you want to apply and make a difference in your local area in Newham. So first of all, who's in the room? So I'm Amelie, I'm Participatory Democracy Coordinator at Newham Council. I coordinate the Community Assembly Programme along with Chris, who you can see as well, and who is also Participatory Democracy Coordinator. And we also have some facilitators in the room, Samantha, Madine, Aidan, Robin, and Kulsuma, who are joining us tonight to support you if you need any support with your application form to join the working groups. We also have some current working group members. You can see that they're named as working group members. So they will be joining us to share their experience about being working group members, and hopefully that will make you really want to join the working group as well. So why we're here, so we'll be introducing you to the Community Assembly Programme if you've never been to a Community Assembly before, or if that's the first time that you hear about it. We'll be explaining what working groups are and how to apply to become a working group member. And we also are here at the end of the day to make a difference in Newham. So we hope that this is maybe the beginning of the journey for you to make a difference in your local area. So what's the schedule for tonight? So we'll be doing welcome and housekeeping, just talking about how the session is going to go. Then we'll be presenting community assemblies, what are community assemblies and how you can join them. Then we'll be talking about what working groups are, what is the purpose, what do they do, how do they work, and who can join. Then we'll be hearing from working group members who will share their experience of being part of a working group. So you can hear a bit more about what it's like from the people who live it. And then we'll be talking about how you can apply to become a working group member. So you can find out how to fill in the application form, what's the deadline, anything that you need to know before you apply. And then after that, we'll have a Q&A. So if you have any questions during the session, just keep them in your mind, and then we'll come back to them during the Q&A. We've got 15 minutes to answer all your questions. So if you have any questions at this time, that will be answered by me and Chris as well. All right, and then the purpose of this support clinic is also to support you if you need any additional help to support to fill in your application form. So if that's the case, we'll go into breakout groups. You will have a facilitator who will be sharing the application form with you. And if you have any questions about the questions that we ask in the application form, or if you need any support to fill it out, we will be there to help you do that. And then we'll come back in the main room after the breakout groups and we talk about next steps. If you don't want to stay for the breakout groups because you feel like once you've heard all the information, you're ready to apply, that's completely fine. You don't have to stay for the whole session. So round 7, if you feel like you've heard enough and you're ready to apply, then you can just go and apply. Okay, so like I said, this session is recorded. This is to make sure that people can find all the information on Newham Co-Create if they couldn't attend the session tonight. So if you don't wish to be recorded, you can pop your camera off, and otherwise it'll be nice to see some faces as well. We also have a Q&A, so if you have any questions during the presentations, then you can keep that in your mind, or pop that on a piece of paper and come back to us during the Q&A. Yeah, we've got 15 minutes for that. And if you need any support during the session, you can just message in the chat, and we'll making sure that we can support you with anything that you might need during this session. Okay, so what are community assemblies? So community assemblies were started in 2018 as part of the Mayor's People's Power Program, the Mayor's Manifesto. So community assemblies are a program that give new residents the chance to make positive change in their local area together. So Newham has been split into 8 community neighbourhood area, which have 2 to 3 local wards. And each of these community neighbourhoods has been given £200,000 to spend in projects that make a difference in their local area for the next 2 years. Anyone who lives, works, or learns in the community neighbourhood area can take part in community assemblies. So these are the 8 areas that community neighbourhoods are covering. So we've got Forest Gate and Maryland, we've got Stratford and West Ham, we've got Manor Park, we've got Custom House in Cannington, we've got Plaistow, East Ham, and Beckton and Royal Docks. And as you can see, there's 2 to 3 local wards as part of those community neighbourhoods. And we'll be coming back to that when we talk about working groups, but each of these 8 areas has a community assembly, and each of these area has a working group as well. Those community neighbourhoods also have a manager, community neighbourhood manager, who is the council officer who liaises with the working groups and community neighbourhood teams and senior officers like Samantha, Kolsuma, and Medine, who are here on the call with us. But we think words are maybe a bit less striking than images. So I'll be sharing a video of the community assemblies cycle from 2021-2022, so the one from last year, that will give you more of an idea of everything that community assemblies are about. So let me share, okay. And here we go.
Back in 2018, we launched an ambitious community assembly programme to involve residents in shaping the growth and development of our local areas.
I can imagine more people involved in community things. We can be together.
My hope's for Newham to be a better place. Something positive is going to come out of it.
These assemblies are an opportunity for people to come together and create a shared vision with their neighbours and to have a direct influence on how local funding is spent to improve their neighbourhoods.
To actually say, oh, here's a way where locally sourced, locally voted upon, locally agreed priorities can be addressed, and we can do this together and we can make our community a better place.
It makes such a difference. People feel involved in their community and people can make their own positive change.
That idea of letting the community lead and how money should be spent, I think that's really, really good, and I do think that's very innovative.
We've listened to the participants and to residents to hear how they think that the community assemblies would be made better.
The current cycle started in April 2021 when residents came together at the first assembly to discuss the priorities they think need to be addressed in their neighbourhood.
Safety and better kind of safer neighbourhoods.
Reducing litter and fly tipping, addressing antisocial behaviour and activating your parks and green spaces.
Engagement of young people and sustainability of our streets, creating greener streets.
We recruited local residents, working group members who helped to shape the way in which projects were identified, where projects were selected.
With the working group, we just discussed the priorities. We were given various different projects that the public had put forward, and we had to score them according to certain criteria.
Part of our job was to make sure that whatever projects we were looking at and discussing really fit the needs of the communities around those 3 priorities.
One of the learnings from the first cycle was the resources weren't enough. So the Mayor, with the councillors, allocated £100,000 towards each of the neighbourhoods.
Residents and community groups were then invited to put forward project proposals for how the £100,000 available in each neighbourhood could be spent to meet these local priorities and needs and benefit the entire community. So last summer, residents voted for the projects they wanted to see happening in their neighbourhood using the Newham Co-Create platform.
So the Co-Create website is an engagement platform for residents to be involved in decision making of anything that we do as a council.
In the second cycle, people have been able to vote on the Co-Create website, and it's enabled them to be more involved.
Lots of the ideas in the community assemblies are really good and really timely.
It's really fantastic to see how people have got involved and the ideas that they've got to make the community a better place.
So Community Assembly in Canning Town voted to support our project called Forest Garden here at Cody Dog. It's the first stage of the project. We are recreating a forest environment. We're going to have trees, we're going to have shrubs, and we're going to have a ground cover. And we're hoping that's going to be very inspiring for local people.
Growing Roots and Floating Habitats is a project that we're undertaking cleaning the Channel Sea River.
We're creating an ecology garden on the banks of the river in a patch of land that is public access. So we wanted to engage some specialists to actually learn more.
It's a way of engaging with the natural spaces in Newham to cherish and look after and enjoy for ourselves.
We are at the Garden Community Cafe and we are running the project The Youth Cafe, which was funded by the community assemblies. One of the priorities was about activities for young people and safety and those related things.
After 3 o'clock, there's a big buzz of young people in the streets on their way home, and actually you can see streams of them heading towards the cafe itself.
We're here every day, 5 days a week after school.
And they can relax, be themselves, and feel safe, I think, as well.
We've been running Cook, Eat and Grow as part of the Community Assembly Engagement Programme.
For the project we work with young people in the Stratford and West Ham area.
We've been taking recipe packs round to young people and putting up YouTube videos to show them how to cook dishes.
Welcome to the Cook, Eat and Grow project that's aimed to help encourage healthy eating and cooking amongst young people, and that's you.
Forest school and forest play activities here in Beckton Forest. Families wanted to go outdoors and meet other people in a safe way. It's also great for kids' physical and mental health to be themselves.
Our forest school sessions are all about learning outdoors.
We want these parks to be more accessible to families and cleaner.
It's great having an activity like this in Newham.
Love E15 is an anti-fly tipping project based in Stratford. We wanted to improve a few areas that we identified in order to make those hotspots free of rubbish. One of the things that we chose to do was use positive images of how you can improve your area, things like planting, green spaces, painting murals. It's really, really great for the community.
Art in the Park is the project that encourages people and families and local residents to take over the public space, make amazing creative stuff in the park, and families just to enjoy. For us, was like if we can bring more art and cultural and family activities to the park, and we can bring the residents, we can change the environment of the park. For the neighbors around the area, I think that one has been a massive impact.
So we're in Plaistow, and this is the community garden that we are trying to create because of the antisocial behaviour that was going on here and the littering. It was thought that if we create a community garden around, those problems may actually dissipate a little bit.
When the people come in and join in this project, you can see they are very happy. Some people really love doing gardening and all, and even children can play in this open area.
The impact they're making is positive, and we're just seeing them growing from strength to strength.
That communication has to not only last, but it has to grow.
This has just been the starting point.
We're planning to have another cycle next year of the community assemblies, building upon what we've already started.
I feel like, Newham is my home. It's the place that I want to make the change, it's the place that I want to help to improve. I care about my neighbors, I care about my public spaces.
Long live community assemblies.
So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has taken part in their community assembly so far, and I hope to see even more people getting involved in the next cycle in the months ahead.
Okay, so whoop. I hope that got you all really excited about what community assemblies are all about. So this was the Sorry, I'm taking up my slides again. So this was obviously the video from the cycle 21-22. So there's been a few changes since then, and I will be sharing that with you as well. In between, we had the 22-23 cycle, which is just wrapping up. If you've been to your assembly this month, you might have been aware of that we're just kind of like finishing all the projects, all the project delivery, etc. And we have, so we had our last round of assemblies for this current cycle. We'll have a new video as well, but it's not just ready yet. And then we're launching at the end of April a new cycle for 2023-2025 of community assemblies. Now, this new cycle will be a bit different in the sense that it will be a 2-year cycle instead of being 1 year. And that is part of the feedback that we got from focus groups and surveys that we organized last year, and that we realized it's actually really difficult to do all the participation as well as the project delivery within 1 year. So as you can see in this diagram, the next cycle will be over 2 years. So at the end of April, we'll be launching the new cycle. In May, we will have the first assemblies, which will be about priority setting. Then in June to July 2023, we'll have a second round of assembly, which will be around idea generation. And then June to August, people can put their project applications in. In October, we'll be voting about all these projects that people want to happen in the area. And then in November, we'll be announcing all the successful projects. And then between November and January, we'll be getting all the permissions and everything. And then from January 2024 to January 2025, we'll have a full year for project delivery so that all the projects can be completed. So that means because we have a 2-year cycle, there will be £200,000 per area as opposed to £100,000 per area in the last year. And then during the implementation phase as well, there will be project monitoring. So working group members will be going on site and making sure that all the projects that have been voted on by Newham residents are being delivered in a way that is respecting what people have been voting for, right? And then we'll end up with a learning phase, so evaluating the program, and then we'll have a big celebration event to celebrate what the £1.6 million has made a difference in Newham in May, June 2025. So that's community assemblies in a nutshell. Obviously, if you have any questions, just keep them in your mind for now, and we'll take them during the Q&A. And for now, I will pass on to Chris to explain working groups and how it works.
Thanks, Emily. Okay, so you just heard from Emily about community assemblies. Now we're going to talk about working groups. So how you're going to be involved in all of this. So working groups are groups of residents, just like yourselves, council officers, and local councillors coming together to support the community assemblies from start to end. And each neighbourhood, so that's 8 neighbourhoods in Newham, each of those have a working group. Next slide. So what are the typical things that working groups do? So we've kind of split it into 4 main things. The first one is shortlisting project proposals. So we'd rely on working group members to use their local knowledge to help decide which projects go through to the final round of voting where all residents of Newham can vote. So you'll be looking at all the project applications that come in, and you'll be scoring those, and we'll help you through that process, and we'll guide you through that. So just don't be put off with, there's a lot of writing here, but it's really, really simple. So the second thing, you'll be monitoring projects. So this is one of the pleasurable parts where you'll go and you'll see the people delivering the projects. You meet them, you'll see what's going on, and you sort of make sure that they're sort of doing what they sort of promised to do on their application form. So, so you'll be making that positive impact in that local area and taking part in monitoring visits. The third thing is we're going to be asking you to help promote our assemblies. So the working groups, you'll be sort of communicating about the assemblies and make sure that everyone in the local area has a chance to take part. So it's just basically you're just spreading the word. You know, you're kind of telling your friends, asking your friends to tell their friends, and just trying to get as many people involved as possible. And the last thing we were thinking that you guys will probably need to do is to advise on how local services can be improved based on feedback from the assembly. So it's an opportunity for you to give us feedback, for you to gather the feedback that you're hearing from everyone, and to tell us at the assemblies how and help us improve the process. So that's it really. It's pretty easy stuff, and we'll be guiding you all along the way as well. So next slide. So who can become a member? So the criteria are that you live or you work or you learn in the area that you apply for. So this includes the existing working group members that we have online as well. The other thing, you must be 16 years or over. You don't need any experience or knowledge of the community assemblies. Basically, it's what Emily was just describing earlier on. It's sort of just a brief outline of that. And also, just remember that if you do apply to become a working group member, you won't be able to submit an application for a project application in that neighborhood as well. So it's one or the other, basically. But you're here to be a working group member, which is great. We highly encourage new residents to apply as well. So if you're new to this, if you joined us today, we really want you to apply, because it will be great to have as many people as possible from all areas in Newham to be on our working group. So what's your commitments if you are successful as a working group member? So you'll be appointed for 2 years. So this cycle that's launching in April will be for 2 years up until March 2025. There'll be approximately a commitment of about 4 to 6 hours a month over the 2 years, and up to 10 hours a month, possibly. Again, this is very flexible. Don't take this as sort of this is it. This is what you need to commit to. Working group members also are compensated for their time and their effort. So all those hours you put in will reward you with this amount, £11.95 per hour. So you can claim that through a rewards and recognition scheme. So again, whatever hours you put in, that's how much you'll be getting out monetarily as well. And also you'll get all the training and support to help you in your role as well. So don't feel like it's a big job application form. We're going to help you through all of this. Once you're a working group member as well, we'll make sure that you're set to go as well, and you've got each community neighbourhood team to help you with that as well as us. Okay, so we've got some current working group members online now who would like to share their experience. So I think it was Harshan. Was it Harshan?
Yeah. Harshan, are you happy to share with everyone a little bit about your experience as a working group member?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes. Over to you.
Okay. Thanks, host, co-host, and the facilitators and other working group existing members. My name is Harshan Kollara, and I live in the East and South area. And I became a member in 2022-23 cycle. At the beginning, I was rather surprised as to what will be my role and relevance in this kind of projects at this time of my life. But eventually, it proved to be an exciting experience. And in the process, I had the opportunity to learn a lot of things which are intellectually engaging, and a great pride being part of the community development social project. In terms of the content of the project, there were we had opportunities to learn the deeper dynamics of those smaller projects, understanding the economics and the value that is going to give for the money we spend, and the analysis of deeper deeper benefit that these projects are going to create into the community. In the process, I have had experience working with the support ecosystem in the council, and they were very helpful in hand holding us to begin with, since we were very new, and we have enjoyed that kind of situation quite well, and we are expecting the outcome to be delivered shortly of the project 22-23, and that will be an excitement for us to view that physically, verifying that on the site. So, and about the project, I can tell that some of them are unique and could be considered to be an out of the box resultant thinking. They are diverse and meeting several several requirements of the community which we have never thought about could be met with this kind of initiative. I'm indeed, to summing up, I'm indeed glad that I have been admitted into the group last year, and the enjoyment I took in facilitating this or participating in this one. And thanks to the organizers and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harshan, for sharing your experience. We will hear from Laura now. Yes, Laura, the floor.
Thanks, Emily. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura. I live in Manor Park, and I joined the kind of working group this year. And like Harshan said, it's just been a really nice opportunity to find out about kind of local projects that people want to take forward, and shortlisting them, and just kind of seeing the projects come to life. So we've had some really great projects like a ping pong kind of table being installed. There's kind of trees that have been funded to be put across the Romford Road, and then also a project that we funded has been kind of litter pickers that go around Wanstead Flats. And one of the really nice things, as I said, is just being able to kind of not only shortlist these projects, but kind of see them come to fruition, and also just see how like the benefits and the outcomes that they're having in our local area. And from a personal point of view, I think it's also a really nice opportunity to get to know local residents and kind of come together and start to talk about what priorities we think are important for our wards and our areas. So it's a really nice thing. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you. Okay, and now we'll give the floor to Patience. Patience, you're on mute. You ready?
Yep. Good evening, all. Thanks for giving me. Oh, what have I done? Okay. For the opportunity. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Because I'm seeing nothing on my phone. just myself. Oh, hello again. Good evening, everyone. My name is Patience. I live in North Woolwich. So I have lived in North Woolwich for quite a number of years. I joined the working group the year before the pandemic. And since then, I have been a member, and it has just been improving year by year. So I'm not going to go over the details. I will instead tell you why I'm encouraging new members to join. It's a very rewarding experience because, one, you are contributing back to the society, or rather the community where you live, to see how such a huge amount of money is being spent. You are going to contribute to it. Just as one of the facilitators have just explained, you do, apart from scoring and voting for the project, you do monitoring. And that's another advantage. When you do monitoring, you know so many more areas, and the experience is just too numerous to start telling you now. So if you are thinking of joining, please join. Don't just take my word for it. You are going to be proved. You will prove me right. So I'm going to stop there, not to take much of your time. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you so much, Patience.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Yeah, so great to hear from everyone sharing their experience, and I hope you feel all inspired to join now. So that's a nice transition to talk about how to apply now, which I am going to share my screen again with you so you can see that. Okay.
I was just about to say thanks for the working group members, because you've actually sort of listed some of the projects that go on as well, that have been delivered in neighbourhoods. I think Laura mentioned quite a few projects as well. So there was some mentioned in the video, but it's nice to hear that from the working group members, that they actually get to go and see what the residents are delivering in terms of local projects as well. So thank you very much for that. That was really useful.
Thank you. Oh,
great. So how to apply. So the most useful thing you can do is go on UMCO Creates. There is a page that is called Join Your Local Working Group, where you will find the application form and the role description. So there are two documents that we would advise you to read. So the first one is the role description. So it's got all the information that we've shared tonight in one place. If you go into your breakout groups, your facilitator will also be sharing that with you, but it's really good if you can have a quick read of that before you apply, just to make sure that you've got everything, that you fully understand the role. And then fill in the application form. So the application form, we've got an online version on Typeform, so very easy to fill in. It takes about 10 minutes to fill in. We've got it in a Word document if you prefer, if you're not too familiar with Typeform, so you can fill it in on Word as well. Or you can also have a paper form in your library if you know, or yourself or anyone that you know is not digitally savvy. They can request a paper form from their library, and they can also post it to their local library. The application form is quite straightforward. We have many questions about where you live, when you're available, which community neighborhood you want to join, which working group, and then there's two questions which are more specifically about yourself. So we can hear a bit more about why you would like to join the working group. But it's very easy, very kind of like just for us to know that you understand what working groups are all about, and you can join us. So don't be put off by the word application form. It's very easy to join, and obviously we'll have support from facilitator today if you need some further help with that. You have until Sunday, 2nd of April to apply, so you've still got a 2 full week to apply, but we will highly encourage you, if you've been convinced today, to go and apply as soon as possible. Don't leave it to the last minute. If you know anyone who might be interested, friends, neighbors, family, whoever else, just encourage them to apply before the 2nd of April as well. Once the 2nd of April is, once the deadline's been, all the applications been submitted, we'll be getting in touch with everyone. If you have been successful, we'll invite you to a short interview. Now, that's the same. This is not a job application. Interview is not like a proper process with everything. It's just about having a chat, making sure that you understand the role, and obviously depending on the number of applications there is a selection process, but I'll share with you the selection criteria just now, which are quite basic criteria as well, in terms of just making sure that we've got lovely committed people on our working groups. Great, so you'll be we'll be getting in touch for an interview towards the end of April, beginning of May. Okay. So just sharing the criteria with you. So in terms of the essential criteria, so everything that we expect from everyone who wants to become a working group member. So I guess the most important one is knowledge of your local area. Obviously very important, because you will be looking at applications from the local area. So it's really your expertise as a resident of Newham, or as someone who works or learn in Newham, that we really want to hear from. So great if you have a good local knowledge in your area. If you've just recently moved to Newham, don't let that put you off. That's also fine. We also want fresh perspectives from everyone. Just make sure that you say in your application what you can bring as well as a new resident, as a view as well. The second criteria is interest in the general good of the community, as opposed to your personal interests. So obviously, that's a very important one. We're here to make change collaboratively in Newham, and not to sort of just thinking about our own individual interests. Then being able to attend meetings in person or online, obviously. So there will be regular working group meetings throughout the community assembly process. This can be in person or online or hybrid, depending on the community neighborhood area. If you have any issue or any access needs, that's fine. Just let us know. There is somewhere in the application form that you can let us know about any access needs that you might have. So just make sure that you put that in your application form. A willingness to work with others and consider different points of view. So again, working groups are all about collaborating between residents and council officers and local councillors. So yeah, if you're coming with a mindset of discussing with each other with an open mind as well. Now, the ability to think critically and use this to shortlist project proposals. So this is about thinking, okay, as a resident, when I'm reading project proposals, I'll be thinking about which ones are relevant. Is there any possible issues with this project? Things like that. So it's just about thinking critically. So again, that's also something that everyone has, hopefully, and we can also support you with that as well. Being open, inclusive and transparent. So that's also really important. Working groups are a space for everyone in the community to be part of. We really want these spaces to be inclusive and open to everyone in the community. So as working group member, you have to also respect that. Being punctual and managing time well. So that's quite an obvious one, but obviously because we are working collectively with council officers and local councillors as well, as much as possible, we encourage everyone who wants to be a working group member to do that. Being sensitive and responsible with personal information. So I guess you would have I hope understood by now that this is related to project applications that residents will put in, where they will share some personal information or some budgets that they intend to use for the community assembly funding. So it's very important that as a working group member, you don't share with your family everything that you've just been told in the working group. So it's just that commitment to say, well, what is discussed in the working group stays in the working group as well. Not that there's massive secrets, but it's just about making sure that we are serious when it comes to personal information of residents. Now, there are also some skills that if you have them, it will be great, but you don't have to have them in order to apply. One of them is being comfortable with a computer, the internet and digital platforms. So we do use quite a lot, like for example, Neom Co-Create and internet access, and etc. But we also definitely want everyone to be involved. So if you've never if you have any digital skills that you think might be missing, just let us know in the application form, and we'll be able to provide some support with that. Administrative.
I think just logging on to Zoom now is it's a skill in itself to kind of come to a meeting. So you're I guess you guys pretty much tick that first box with digital platforms, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But hopefully if you tell your neighbors as well, we can provide digital skill support that we already have in our libraries, and anything that we have online, we can also print in paper. So yeah, don't let that put you or your neighbor off. An eye for detail. So yeah, again, this is about looking at project applications and things like that. So it's great if we have some people in the area who can be thinking, oh, this project is mentioning this park, and I'm not sure if there's already 2 benches in there. That's kind of the typical skills that would be great to have in the working group as well. Someone who's very kind of attentive to these little details. But again, no worries if that's not your case. Good communication skills is a great plus. So for example, Harshan, Patience and Laura all had brilliant communication skills. So that's great that they can then present at meetings such as tonight. So typically that is a great skill to have already, and being willing to present, but that's also something where you will get training and support with. And being well organized is always a good thing. But again, this is all desirable criteria. If you feel like you're not sure about any of these, apply anyway, and we will look at your application. Okay, so that's all the criteria and all the information. Now we've put in the chat the application form and the role description. If you are staying in your breakout groups, we will also be sharing screen with the role description and the application form.
Just for clarity, there's 3 things in the chat at the moment. There's a thing called there's an online application form. So I don't want anyone to get confused that you got the Word document and the link as well. So you can choose to do one or the other. So if you want to do it directly on the internet, you can do that without having to fill out the Word document. So there's a link in there that says online form. You can click that directly out. That will take you straight into an online application form. Alternatively, you've got the attachments there for the role description and the working group application form as well. So with the attachment, you can either put that on your computer, fill it out, and send it to your local neighborhood team, or which we'll come on to later on, or print it out, fill it out, and give it in to your local library as well. So there's a couple of options there for you. Either do it on a document or do it directly on the internet. Yeah, you don't have to do both, just to make that clear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've just tried to make sure that whatever you prefer, you've had the option to do it that way. Is it worth me sharing very quickly what it looks like before taking questions maybe?
Are there any questions before Emily shares an application form?
I think, Jim, maybe you're trying to ask a questions, but I can't hear you. You're on mute, Jim. Still can't hear you.
Got Alex with the hand up.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Jim, if you want to go first, yeah.
I would like to know if is it necessary to attend every meeting of the working group?
Is it necessary to attend the meetings?
Yeah.
Yes, that's that's very much part of the role. So you will be expected to attend meetings. So the working groups will meet regularly across the community assembly cycle to discuss where the projects are at and to discuss how they can be involved, to organize monitoring visits and things like that. So yeah, as a working group members, we expect you to attend the meetings. Now, in the application form, you will be able to fill in which you prefer in terms of what timings you prefer, etc., for the working group meetings to be in. So if you're working during the day, for example, don't panic.
Okay.
You can fill in your preferences in terms of when you would like to meet. If you sometimes, life happens, if you can't make one meeting, that's not the end of the world either, but it is part of the role to attend these meetings. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
No worries. Alex, did you want to go next?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, thanks for the presentation. It's very interesting and quite exciting to see all that. I just was curious to get a sense of how many people are in each working group typically, and how many projects, how many project applications are done, and how many projects are selected, either in total or for each of the groups.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, two questions really. So in terms of the numbers of working groups, we had between 4 and 10 last year, I think. Ideally would like for this year, we're recruiting for 12 members for each area. We are flexible on that, but yeah, the idea is to have 12 members per area for the coming cycle. And in terms of the number of project applications, in total, so this year there were 72 applications that went forward, and I can find the number of applications that went through, but that's for the whole of NUM. So that's not the number of applications that each working group member has to go through. I think
it was approximately 10 to 15. Possibly more. This depends on the area you'll be in. Some areas get more application forms than others. But yeah, it's kind of, you can go up to sort of 20, 30 applications per area approximately.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that obviously this year we're extending the cycle and the money will be twice as much. So there will be more applications coming through. But yeah, it's quite a few projects to go through, but also a really exciting time to look at all these projects.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a one-time exercise you'll be doing sort of right towards the beginning of the whole cycle, and then the rest of the 2 years, it's you'll be sort of visiting the projects, you'll be getting involved in assemblies. Yeah, so it's just a one-off exercise.
Great. And then we have two questions from the chat. So someone has asked, how often do you have to commit? So across the 2-year cycle, so you will be expected to stay for the 2-year cycle. Obviously, if there's like you move out of the borough unexpectedly or whatever, that's fine. We won't blame you for that. But ideally, if you can commit to it for the 2 years, that would be great, so that you can follow the whole process, right? Of like knowing which project apply, and then understanding like monitoring those projects that you've seen applying as well. So if you can commit to the 2 years, that's the sort of expectation. And how often? So those meetings, and I also got another questions that was saying how many meetings per month. And I kind of want to turn to Sam and Kulsuma and Medine to to give us an idea.
So the working group meetings, is it, Emily, you're referring to? Generally, it's usually every 6 weeks, but each area holds it differently. So in Manor Park, we try to hold it every 6 weeks, generally, yeah.
In regards to East Ham, we roughly around the same time, but sometimes developments from the project means that we have to call a meeting. Most of the time it is online, and most of the working group members are able to attend.
Yeah, that's correct. Usually around 6 meetings to say, but you know, in case of any new developments or any issues with projects, then we have to call a sudden meeting. And again, we can do it online or in venue.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, so that should give you an idea. So it's not once a month, but a little bit less than once a month, basically every 6 weeks. And in the role description, you will see that we've put down as well the commitment to 4 to 6 hours per month on average over the 2-year cycle, because obviously some parts of the cycle you will have monitoring visits as well, where you go and see what the projects are doing, as well as having the regular meetings to make sure everything's on track with the projects. And what Kulsuma, Samantha and Medine have mentioned as well is that, so for example, if there is a project where there are concerns, for example, about how the money that they've been allocated is being spent, then that's where working group members are really useful to kind of discuss it as a group and see what the actions should be in that regard. So this is typically the stuff that you would be doing as a working group member. Okay, I've got a question from Parisha in the chat. What, if any, is local government's involvement in the decision-making and implementing of projects? That's a great question, because working groups are definitely something that is meant for local councillors and council officers and residents to work all together. So this is really the principle of the working groups, is to make sure that that we all work together to deliver positive impact in the area. So you will be working with your community neighborhood manager very closely. You will be working with your local team like Medine, Sam and Kulsuma very closely as well. So these will be the people that not only support you to be a working group member, but also making decisions together. On occasions, you might have also other council officers coming in. So for example, if there is a project that is partly delivered by our parks team, you might have council officers from parks coming in and explaining anything about the projects. So you also have council officers coming in and sharing their expertise with the working group. The working groups can also by themselves kind of ask the council for specific officers to come and give them information, because that's part of what you're kind of entitled to as a working group as well, is to hear as much information as you want to be able to make the decisions that you want to make. I hope that's not too much jargon, but essentially you'll be working with Newham Council on this and not just residents yourselves. Okay, got more questions. Are the working groups given access to the budgets and details of projects? Absolutely, yes. So as part of the project applications, you will be given access to the budgets that people put in their project applications, and the project applications ask for everyone who applies for money as part of community assemblies to explain what the detail of the project is, what are the outcomes, how they want to change their area, etc. So it will be a very a big kind of, not a big, but there will be detail about what the project wants to do. And that's obviously this information that you will be using in order to make sure that this is relevant with the community assemblies funding. But again, you'll get training about how to read this project applications, how to make sure that the budget makes sense, etc. So if you've never seen a budget before, you can still apply. That's completely fine. It's not something to be scared of. Are there times when more hours are required? Sally is asking. So typically, I think I will be maybe sharing my screen again with the cycle.
Possibly towards the beginning, I think, like I mentioned before, when you're scoring some of the applications, that it just depends on how many applications that come in. So there may be a little bit more time that you might spend at that initial stage.
Yeah, so typically towards June, August, when project applications, so between the sort of June, July assemblies with where we've got everyone coming into their local area, talking about ideas, solutions, etc. Then people put in their applications. That's when working group members get involved in shortlisting these applications, making sure that they make sense before they go to the voting phase, right? So that's when there might be a bit more hours in terms of looking through the project applications. So yeah, typically if you're going on holiday the entire June to September, that's maybe something to think about. But if that's something you're worried about, just make sure that you put it in your application form, and we can have a chat about that. Okay, more questions coming in from the chat. So are the monitoring visits within the ward one has signed up for, or borough-wide? So the monitoring visits will be in your community neighborhood area as well. So you'll be following, you'll be receiving the project applications from your community neighborhood area. So for example, if you sign up for Plasto, you'll be receiving the project applications from Plasto, following that, and then the monitoring visits will be only for Plasto. So you'll be only, following one area. And then what else have we got? How long
are you getting questions directly to you, Emily? I can't see.
Yeah,
I
don't know if it's, sometimes the chat is only open to, I don't know if it's open to everyone.
Okay.
I'm not seeing any of the questions.
Yeah, it might be the setting of the Zoom meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Just read them out.
Yeah. So other questions was how long will the training take, and are costs reimbursed? Yeah, so we're still designing what the training will look like, but you'll have some training from us and from the previous working group members as well. So I can't tell you exactly how long it's going to take, but it's not like super intense training either. It's just about like making sure that you understand your role. Yes, and costs reimbursed. Yeah, so like every hour that you kind of do as a working group, you can be reimbursed with the reward and recognition form as well. And then we've got another question, which is, does the payment get taxed if employed? So that's maybe a question that Aidan can answer, if you don't mind.
Yep. Hi, everybody. No, it's not taxable by your employer. However, it could be as part of your overall earnings, where you might have to declare it to the HMRC. That's very, very rare. I don't think anybody is going to become a millionaire by being a working group member, but no, it's not taxed. It's, as Emily said, it's £11.95 per hour, or if it's an hour and a half meeting, it's, it's pro rata.
Brilliant, thank you, Aidan. How to apply for the funding? That's a very good question. So the funding is not, the funding applications are not open yet. This will be open just after the idea generation assembly. Wait, I'm not sharing screen anymore. I'm pointing towards nothing. So yeah, so the June-July assembly about idea generation, that's when the funding applications will be open. So the reason for that is that we first talk about what the sort of potential issues are in your local area, then we come up with solutions together as residents with table discussions, etc., during the assembly too. And coming up from those ideas, that's when people can put forward their projects. So we'll definitely let you know. But if you are planning to apply for funding, you might consider how that impacts your working group member application. That being said, you can apply to become a working group member. And then if you apply to get funding and you don't get it, you can then potentially reintegrate the working group. So it's something to kind of like bear in mind as well. So if you're not sure if you're going to apply for funding, you can still apply to be a working group member for now. And then we can talk about this when we open the funding as well. But you just have to know that if you do get the funding, like, you won't be able to.
You just need to let us know. Just go ahead, apply to be a working group member, and then if you're interested in putting an application form in, just let your neighbour team know that you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously it just means that you won't be able to do the project shortlisting, etc. So yeah, so if you will apply in your area, then that's a bit tricky, but yeah, just let us know if you have any concerns.
I have a question. Is about basically, if I would like to apply like the team group member in my area, so can I apply for the funding for another areas? Or it's like once I going to join the group member and I can't do any funding apply for even for another another neighborhood or something like that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think we might need to come back to you on that to be 100% sure. I would say that obviously as a working group member, you only shortlist projects from your area, so you might be able to apply for another area. But yes, so that would be my.
Yeah, it may not be the case. I think we had to do an exercise last year just to make sure none of the working group names matched any of the applicants' names.
I think because at the moment the voting is open for anyone who lives in Newham, so there's a risk of having conflicts of interest there, which is something that can be causing problems in terms of the funding, obviously, because we just want to make sure that as a working group member, you're not influencing anyone to get funding for your own personal projects. That's the main issue.
And
So-
also, I have a question. It's like from my understanding, it's like the processing is like going from now to before the June. And as a group member, we will think about the issue in the different neighborhood, and we got some project area, like what we should focus on or something like that. But how the needs, locally needs, could be pass on to the people who raise up the project can meet our needs directly, because there are two groups of people. So one group of people, like we at the moment, if we apply for like a group member, we research, we discuss, and then we find, oh, this area need, this is really several issues we should raise up for find a solution or something. But we only know the needs, and but we can't how to say that the project. How can the people make the project can fit our needs exactly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So basically, I think I don't know if it's super clear, but the assemblies that I've shown in the cycle, these are all residents getting involved, not just working group members. So they will be talking about the issues, not just working group members. So that's the first thing, where you're in conversations with all the residents. As a working group member, you've got a bit more of a special role, in a sense, where you get involved more regularly, just making sure that the entire process throughout the community assemblies is working. But we also have these round of assemblies which are open to everyone. These are usually evening meetings for 2 hours, and people discuss what they want to see in their area. So there is that conversation with residents. And then when it comes to project leads, so people who would put forward a project application to receive funding, you are also really working closely with them as part of those working group meetings. So typically, like working group meetings, like we've mentioned earlier, projects might be coming in and asking you questions about your advice as a working group member who knows the local area, or vice versa. You can ask them questions about actually you have a concern that the project is not respecting your ideas that you put forward and you voted on. As a new residents in general, and that you as a working group member will be kind of making sure that this is happening. So if you have concern that this is not happening, then this is also a conversation with projects that have applied. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sort of. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so basically the May assembly, look out for the May assemblies, and everyone, so everyone will be discussing what the local needs might be, and then those project application will rely on those, will be based around those local needs, basically. Yeah,
exactly. Medine, did you want to? No.
Yeah, Chris just sort of sum it up for me. I was just about to say, in regards to the question that was raised, if I read into it correctly, just to highlight that there will be priorities for the chosen for the neighborhoods, and project applications must align to one of these priorities. So that's where the projects would tie into the needs of the area. So priorities will be set, and then the project applications must align with one of these priorities. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't worry too much about how you're going to mark that on an application. We'll guide you through that, and that's where the training will come in on how you'll be able to match those local needs, and whether those people have made that clear in their application form. It's almost like for like. So the application form, the questions in there will give you a sort of a marking sheet with guidance on, does this application form cover X, Y, and Z, and you'll just kind of mark it and just follow that guidance along. So it's really simple. The training will be there. We'll show you how to do that as well. So it's straightforward.
Yeah, great. Okay, so I've got a few more questions from the chat. So someone asked if you get paid during training. So yeah, just to reiterate that you can have the reward and recognition for training as well. Do you get paid for DBS? So you don't need a DBS check as part of your role as a working group member. But if that was ever to be the case, then you would be paid to do the training as part of being paid for doing your role. The next question is, what time of the day are the monitoring visits usually done? As I work full time, so I know if I take some annual leave. Yeah, so monitoring visits will depend on the activities, basically. So for example, if the project is doing weekly activities on Wednesdays at 10 a.m., that's difficult for you to go, yeah. So but a lot of projects will be doing activities on evenings or on Saturdays. Some of the projects will be infrastructure projects, so things like looking at a bench, the new bench in the park or something like that, so you can go anytime. But again, that is something that is arranged according to your availabilities as well. Not all working group members need to attend at the same time. We are, making it as flexible as possible. We do encourage people who work full time to sign up to become working group members. We definitely need your input as well.
Yeah, and also like if there are 12 of you, you can come to sort of an agreement as well. I'm happy to take this particular project and monitor during the day, or someone might be more available during the evening. So don't forget, it's not just solely you and and what the times that you're available. There's also other people in your working group that are available at various other times as well. So that's the kind of stuff you'll probably end up discussing in your first meeting when you start as a working group member.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got another question, which is, are the groups diverse or not just male dominated? So yeah, the groups are diverse. At the moment, we are really much looking for the working groups to be even more diverse than they currently are. But we have published information about that on our website if you are really curious about going to see what exactly that looks like. But no, they are diverse, so don't be worried about that. They are also inclusive, like we have inclusivity principles as part of Neum Council, so we make sure that everyone can contribute in a safe and inclusive way. And the one thing that I can say is that if you know any young person in your around you and you want to encourage them to become a working group member, that will be great, because we do have a bit less young people on the working groups at the moment. So that would be great if you can encourage anyone that you know who is a young person around you.
Can I just touch on that in regards to the working group members? So the working group members currently for East Ham are very diverse. We have male, female, we have young, we have older generation, and they all contribute in their own particular ways. It's really important that we have such a diverse working group, and everyone has something that they can offer that the others can't. So we really did look at the skills that they have and how they can put it into the working group. So we definitely encourage you to join.
Thanks, Sam. Absolutely. And then, okay, yeah, Chris.
Just conscious of time. It's almost 7:20. How many questions have you got in your chat?
I've got two more that just came in. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. We've only got 10 minutes left. Yes, so the next question is, will there be any working equipment given to working group members? Not at the moment. I'm afraid we don't have a budget for that. But obviously, if there's any inquiries about access needs or anything that you feel like you might need to do your role, get in touch with us. Just generally, you will have seen for tonight, hopefully. But yeah, get in touch with your local team if you have any needs or support. Next question was, how many members are in each working group? So we are looking to recruit 12 people per area for this round. Last year, there were some working groups that had less than this, and on average around 10, but we are looking at 12 for this time round. Okay. So
don't forget that's almost 96 for the whole of Newham. So it's 12 times 8 neighbourhoods. So it's not just 12 posts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't let that.
96 positions potentially open across Newham.
Across Newham, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can we just apply one group member, or all of them we can apply?
So that's a very good question. So you need to be living, learning, or working in your local area to apply for that specific local area. So if you work in Stratford, you can't apply to. If you live in Stratford and you have nothing to do with Manor Park except that you live in Newham, then you can't apply for Newham.
Oh, I mean, you have a full group of members, right? It's like initial ideas and monitoring and the feedback and anything else. It's a full steps, right?
Roughly, yeah. That's the sort of things would expect from working group members. Yeah.
So when we apply, we only can apply one of them, not all of them, not a full.
Well, this is where it kind of is possibly. I mean, you might live in one area in Newham, but you might be working another. Go on,
Chris, I think there is some confusion. Are you talking about the areas or the role of the working groups?
The role of the working groups.
Yeah, so you will be doing the 4 things. So you will be shortlisting projects, monitoring projects, communicating and giving feedback. That's all part of your role.
I see.
In the area, in that area only.
Oh, I see. Okay, get it. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, just to finish on the area, yeah. So if that was the case that you were living in one area and working in another area, you can apply for both of them, just in case we get less applications in one area. But just make sure that you put on your application form that that's the case. And then I have got another final question coming in. 12, is that including current members? Yes, if you are a current working group member, please do reapply for your working group this time round. And 12 is including existing members reapplying as well. Okay. Any more questions, or is everyone ready to go into breakout groups?
Is it just thinking now, because it's 7 minutes left until we finish up. Is it worth just sharing the application form?
Yeah, that's what I
very
was
quickly to everyone, and just going through that, because we're not going to have enough time to finish at 7:30.
Okay. So let me check. Yeah, can I have a hands up of anyone who wanted specific help with the application form?
Has anyone seen the application form yet? And is there any specific questions to do with the application form itself, or any questions on that role description?
Yes. Springer, I don't know what your name is.
So right, it's just come out as my work computer, so it just puts my initial. It's Rosalind. It's just a couple of questions for question 6, and I'm not sure how. I know you've got to write about how you're doing, but is it a specific way for question 6 and 7 of the application? Is it a specific format that it needs to be written, i.e., when you do a work application, you have to do like in the STAR approach, the situation, task, blah, blah, blah. Do I have to write it in the Pacific way?
No. Just be honest. just be completely honest. Don't look at any sort of format of how you write. We want to know why you want to do it. The important thing is this program is to kind of improve the place you're living in, and to make it better for everyone. So just be really honest and talk from your heart. That's the kind of thing we're looking at here. We're not kind of going to be really detailed scoring like a normal job application form. So just tell us the real reason why you want to be a working group member.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, at the end of the day, this is a super easy application form, very accessible, and on the type form, there is also a quite short limit on words anyway, so you won't be able to write an essay. So I've got a few more questions. I think we'll just go through that. If there's anyone who wanted to have specific help in the breakout group, just put your hand up or let us know in the chat. Otherwise, we'll just continue to go through the questions until 7:30. So we've got, okay, let me just go back for question 6. Yeah, that was answered. Which specific section would the working group work with? I'm not sure. Clara, could you specify what do you mean by that? Because I'm not sure I understand the question. Okay, I'll just go to another question in the meantime. Where do I submit my Word application as the type form is not working for me? So your Word application, you can email to your relevant community neighborhood. Let me just share my screen with the application form just now. So that's the application form with your contact details, which community assembly working group you would like to join, where you work, live, or study, which best represents you in terms of whether you live, work, or study in your area, whether you understand the role description and selection criteria in the working group. And then 6 and 7 question are the ones where you can explain a bit more about yourself in relation to the selection criteria. So very simple questions. Why do you want to join your local community assembly working group? And then what would make you a good working group member? So really just simple. We want to hear why you want to join. Okay, the question is about conflict of interest. We touched upon that. So just make sure that if you are part of an organization who might be applying for funding, then you make us aware of that. Select your availability for meetings. Let us know if there's any thing that you're worried about in terms of the commitment in that space. If you have any requirement for digital skills or access to internet, that's where you can fill it in question 10. If you need any additional support or have any access needs, you've got question 11 that you can answer. And then you've got the equal opportunities questionnaire, which is just us making sure that we are making sure that the working groups are diverse as well. Okay. And then at the end of the application form, you've got all the contact details. So in answer to the question about where to send the Word document, you can send it to your relevant community neighborhood email address. So for example, if you're applying for a custom house in Canning Town, just make sure that you send a completed form to this email address. And that's it. Okay, clarification. I mean, among the different units of the council, which one is directly responsible for these development projects across Newham? Okay, yeah, so which part of Newham Council you will be collaborating with as a working group member. So this will be mainly your community neighborhood team. So in Newham, the 8 neighborhood areas that we've presented at the beginning, these are the ones that community assemblies are tied with. So there is one community neighborhood manager and community neighborhood team that work with the manager. So this will be the main team that will be collaborating with. And then you will have, like I said earlier, if there is projects that are linking with parks or highways or any other kind of team within the council, then you might be talking to them as well. Okay. Do we have any more questions or any more specific requests of help? I'm conscious that we're already at 7:30 and we had said obviously that we would provide help to fill out the application. Hopefully we did give all the information that you need to do that, but if there's anyone who wanted further help.
One support.
Sorry. What was that, Patience?
No. Sorry.
Yeah, I hope everyone can access that Word document form, because the contact details are at the end of that. So once you look at the application in your own time and you feel you're not sure about a certain thing, the contact info is there right at the end of that application form for your local neighborhood team. So do email that if you want to email or go in person. Feel free to do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'll just very quickly share my screen again. Oh yeah, we've got another question. Did you have this question? No. Okay. Yeah, okay, so just before we wrap up, thank you so much everyone for joining. Again, if you need any more support, I will put up the contact details again, so you can contact your local team. Just make sure that you spread the word. It's been really nice to have so many people online, but it'd be even better if we have all your friends, family and neighbors applying as well. We do need as many people as possible applying to become a working group member. If you are around Green Street tomorrow, we have our last community assembly there as well at 6 p.m. at Catherine Road Community Centre. So if you're from the area, or even if you're not, but you've never been to a community assembly before, come and join us. There is food, there will be amazing updates from all the projects as well. So it will be great to see you there. And then we've got a quick feedback form that will take about 3 minutes, let's say, to fill out. So it would be great if you can let us know how today's session went, so that in this cycle, as we are doing more support clinic, we can know if that works for you as well. So it'd be great to have your feedback on this session as well. Okay, thanks everyone. If you don't have any more questions, then have a brilliant evening. We'll look forward to receiving your application. And if you have any more questions, I will stay online a little bit more, but otherwise, great to see you all.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for
everyone.
attending.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I just stay a few minutes to do the evaluation form for you.
Thank you, Patience.
Thank you. Oh, that's it. Open link.
Brilliant. Any more
Royal Dogs
questions from the chat?
I know someone's trying to join. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I'll just.
I'm not sure if they want to ask a question.
I'll just stop the recording.
Okay.